bum 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 ba-dum bum 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 ba-da-da-dum bum 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 ba-da-da. Bum 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 ba-dum bum 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 ba-da-da-dum bum 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 ba-da-da. Da 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 dum ba da 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 bum ba da da ba da 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 dum ba da 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 dun 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 dun. Hello, my friends. I ran into the room. I was taking a call. I'm writing. Oh my gosh, it's kind of busy tonight. Hello, everyone. Hello, my new mighties. Hello, mighties from everywhere, from New Jersey and Texas and Fort Wayne. And it's wonderful to see you all. It's great to be here. And my friends from Facebook. Hello, happy Learning Monday, says Angela. Hearts to you too from Australia and Connecticut. And it's just wonderful to see you all. My name is Joette Calabrese, and every Monday night we do the same thing. Every single Monday night at this time, we do one thing and one thing only, and that is we learn homeopathy. And for those of you who already know me, my old friends, it's wonderful to see you. It's really great to see everyone here. Hello from Naples, Florida, and from Maryland, and Topeka, and another person from Florida, Minnesota. It's wonderful to see everyone. I love seeing you all. Maryland. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. Pennsylvania. We're going to talk about something different tonight, right? Let's talk about something a little different than what I normally talk about. I'm not going to teach you protocols tonight. I'm going to teach you how to look up medicines for psychological problems. Now, I have to tell you that I have I think, a wonderful course, an online course called Mindful Homeopathy. Should you be interested in going into this, delving into this more deeply, where we talk about memory loss and ADD and behavioral issues and psychological problems, emotional problems, and many, many more. But tonight we're going to talk about something that I think is particularly interesting, and that is liars, thieves, and crooks. They abound. They've always abounded. Nothing different here. But it does seem like they're right in our faces lately, doesn't it? If you're watching any media of any sort, you know what I'm talking about. So let's look this up. I have my repertory right here. This is Robin Murphy's repertory, the late Robin Murphy, who I hold in very high regard. This is called the Meta Repertory 4th edition. I have his 3rd edition. I have the 2nd edition. I have the first, but now he's now the last one before his passing is the 4th edition, and it's what I teach and in my academy. I teach from this book because I think it's the most. Let's see. Well, it's beyond concise. It's so in depth. It's so voluminous. 2,600 pages, 2,700 pages. The paper is Bible paper. There's no room for conjecture. It's not what homeopathy is. And so we're going to look up some remedies here. We're going to look up what I mean to say is we're going to use some rubrics. Rubric is a symptom or a condition, and we're going to look it up in this book, and I'm going to show you how I would go about doing this. All righty. So let's talk about a robber, someone who steals. It's not someone who has stolen, because children sometimes steal a little bit here and there until they get the hang of what's expected of them. I'm not talking about stealing Let's see. What would another way to steal be that is kind of acceptable in a way? When we work really hard not to pay our income taxes, it's not really stealing, but we people try to work around the system. I don't think I'd call that stealing. So we want to talk about someone who actually has a problem with stealing. Now, the way we look this up, if you were to look in the mind section, which is in the beginning of this book, I'm going to show you my page that I have it opened to. In the mind section, see how you can see mind at the top of the page? We're going to find, I don't think we're going to find stealing. The way we're going to find it is another word for it. And that's something I want you to learn. You need to find synonyms. Not always do we find the exact word we're looking for. Sometimes we have to find a synonym. So if someone steals, if they have stolen, in the past, perhaps not. But if it's somebody who steals and does it for a living, loots stores, breaks into stores and loots, you've got it, Pamela. You've got it, my friend. It's kleptomania. We don't usually go that far when we think of someone stealing, but that is what it is. It's kleptomania. And you're right. Leanna's on page 181. And the medicines that stand out are I've got some notes here, but I don't know where I have put them now. Are belladonna, the ones that are enlarged, heroin, which is heroin, morphine, opium, pulsatilla, staphylos aureus, sulfur, tarantula, thuya. Those, nux vomica, those are the biggest ones. The most important are belladonna, heroin or heron, and opium. Those are the three biggest ones. It kind of gives us a taste or an idea of what could be going on in someone's life, right? It's fascinating. So I want to tell you a funny story. Some of you may know it because I've written about it. Years ago, I used to work at a lot of health conferences. And when I would speak on stage, when I finished, they would give me a booth and I would stand at the booth with my family and I would pass out pamphlets on homeopathy and I might sell my books. And I always had kits if people wanted to purchase kits. And one of the kits was open so that people could see. For those who were unfamiliar with homeopathy, I wanted them to see what a kit looked like. And the kits were all intact. They were brand new. But I had it opened up, one of them. And at the end of the day, one of the medicines in the opened up kit was missing. I said, wait a minute, could it be someplace else? Did anybody use a medicine? And I looked at it, and it was the medicine that was missing was Nux vomica. Now, Nux vomica has a very broad spectrum of ability. It's a sweeping medicine. It's a medicine that we use for gut issues, for anger issues, for sleep, for constipation. It has colds and flus, onset of a cold, irritability, and kleptomania. As much as I was perturbed that someone stole this remedy from this kit, ruining the kit, I couldn't sell it. There was a one remedy that was missing. Even though I was perturbed, I really got a chuckle out of it because some kleptomaniac had stolen my Nux vomica, which is is a secondary medicine for people with kleptomania who probably, my guess is, they had a cold. It happened to be at a time of year when there were a lot of colds, and I remember that year there were a lot of colds walking around the conference. And my guess is this person knew that Nux vomica was a useful medicine for colds. And so they took it. I actually hoped it didn't work. I was actually hoping that it wasn't, Nux vomica was not going to help them, that they needed a different medicine. But they took my Nux vomica. And so, had they taken belladonna, which is a heavier duty remedy in this rubric, meaning it has more likelihood to be of value for kleptomania, it's just a little higher level, I would have suspected maybe they had a high fever, because belladonna also has kleptomania and a high fever. So fast. Oh, yeah, here we go. Yes, or a hangover. Maybe that person had a hangover and not a cold after all. So they were also an alcoholic. Yeah, a couple people are saying that too. I maybe they got approving from it, says Deborah. Nux is the best. Yep, you're absolutely right. Or they ate some bad food. This conference, however, was a Weston Price Foundation conference, and they had the best food. Everything was pasture raised, and they had beautiful bone stock, and they had high quality kombucha, and they had real butter, and et cetera, et cetera. It was really so that wouldn't have been the place. But maybe the night before they went out drinking and eating pizza from a chain restaurant or something. And they lied about taking it. So, kleptomania, someone who steals. And so this is, I'm going to hold it up so that you can see this rubric, okay? Because I want you to see, and I know it's kind of hard for you to see sometimes because I'm showing you backwards. It's right there at that finger. You see kleptomania there? Get a bit closer. And we've got absinthia, we've got belladonna. You see belladonna there? You see how those medicines are all in that and lined up there? That's how you know that it is one of the medicines that has to be considered. All righty? So, how would you use something like that? I'm not going to tell you yet, okay? Let's wait. Let's talk about some other conditions. All righty? Now let's all talk about what was the other one? Hold on, let me find this. That was thief. Let's look at liar. Okay. Now that one is where we find on page 186 of our repertory. And it's not a liar, it's someone who lies. Inclination to. So lies, comma, inclination to tell lies. Now, I think everyone lies. I'm going to start with that. White lies. How do I look today? Oh, you look fine. You look fine. When really you want to say, I don't know. However, I have to tell you, life is much easier when we tell the truth every time. It really is easier. You don't have to remember. I don't have to tell you. I don't want to be moralistic tonight, but I think we all tell little white lies. And if they're not intended to be problematic or if the goal is to be kind, I would say that that's probably acceptable. So when we look at inclination to tell lies, the number one remedy is heroin, morphine. Yes, these are homeopathic medicines. And then after that are elcho, opium, and thuya. And these are all medicines I'm going to show you once again so you can see lies. Now, I'm going to try to point at it for you again. Let's see if I can see it too. It's right here. Lies. Okay? That's where we find someone who the inclination to lying. Now, children lie. They need to be punished when they lie. I believe in old-fashioned punishment, my friends. And what I mean by that is forget the timeout. I think that's too kind. I really do. really do. I think we need to be a little more heavy duty than simply timeout. I think that's I did it myself. Let me just say this. Let me say parenthetically, that's how I raised one of my sons, was timeout. Um, but by the time I had my second and third son, I said, I've had it with the timeout. It was so much work. I just swiftly and unexpectedly and horribly took away something really, really important. No warning, no warning. Just bam, no Legos. Mom, you didn't give me a warning. You bet I didn't. And that's it. No more discussion. So, yeah, we should pass these medicines on out to our politicians. Yeah, but the politicians are in bed with big pharma, so I don't think that's going to happen. So, if we see a child who lies, they have frosting on their face. No, I didn't eat the cake. We have to train them up. But if it becomes such a problem that it's constant lying, now we've got a condition. Now we've got something worthy of treating. I don't like to use, let me say parenthetically, I don't like to use homeopathic medicines just because we know what they are for a specific condition. I don't believe that that is a prudent way to use homeopathy. It's medicine. Homeopathy is medicine. I like to save it for when it's truly needed, because otherwise we're going to be um, getting using medicines for every little thing, because that's what life is. Yes, I got some wooden spoons. You bet. I got hit with a wooden spoon. You know, no big deal. It wasn't like my mother hit me on the head with it. We got whacked on the bottom, just enough for it to hurt a little bit, to kind of help us remember. Sorry, I think I agree with that too. I agree with wooden spoons or good spanking. That's not when I'm not talking about abuse. So I know that I'm going to hear about this. I'm not talking about using it as an outlet for the mother or the father's anger. I know that when we lived on a busy street and my son walked into the street, if I said, "Oh honey, time out," he could have been killed. I think it's much better for someone who doesn't understand to get a good whacking on the back end, enough times that it made him quite uncomfortable. I digress. Let's get back. Okay. So I want you to look at those medicines, which is, as I said, Elko, heron, morphine, opium thuya. Those are the most important ones. Now I want to add one more. I didn't mention this, but I love this medicine. I love this rubric because it's something we need to think about in society. And it's on the same page, 186. It's just above lies, and it's called libertinism. Here's libertinism right here. Can you see right there? Libertinism. Now, what is libertinism? Anybody know? Yeah, libertinism. The medicines are medarinum, causticum, cantharis. I'm reading some of them. Phosphorus, platinum. These are medicines that we know are related to, if you know anything about studying in my course Feminopathy or any of the other courses, but especially when you know Feminopathy, you know that these medicines are related to urogenital area of the body. And so libertinism is the propensity to not have morals, particularly in relationship to sexual behavior. What's the best medicine for that? Well, medarinum is big there. Medarinum is a wonderful medicine for urinary tract infections and bladder, general bladder infections. That's the whole urinary tract. I should have just left it at that. For uterine problems. And it is also, because it's so related to the urogenital situation, conditions, it is a great medicine for libertinism, male or female. Oh, yes, both. Platina or platinum is a great medicine for this same behavior, um, particularly for women. And Staphysagria is in here, a great medicine, and Nux vomica, same behavior, a little more on the masculine side. That doesn't have to be. We could use it, crosses over both genders. Both genders. You know, the two genders. Yes. So we have a choice, one gender or the other gender. Oh, I'm going to be hearing about this. Yes, promiscuity, Melissa. Absolutely. That's what it is, promiscuity. Propensity to sexual promiscuity. People are writing in. Yes, exactly. So, at what point do you decide to address this kind of issue? Here's the key. We address these issues when they are pathological. Now, years ago, I had a friend who worked in an alcohol rehab center. And I'm seeing the comments to my last comment. And I asked her, define alcoholism for me. I wanted to understand what alcoholism was. Is it when someone drinks every day? Is it when someone drinks once a week but really gets rip roaring drunk? What is alcoholism? Please give me a definition. And this is what she said to me. The definition of alcohol, now this is old. Was a friend of mine from the 70s. She said, the definition of alcoholism is when someone's drinking of alcohol causes trouble in their lives for their family, their colleagues, their neighbors, or their friends. So if it affects others, this behavior, whatever this might be, libertinism or lying or stealing, if it's affecting others and it's happening now, not that it happened 20 years ago and now they've stopped doing that. If it's happening now, we're working with conditions that are occurring at this moment in time, moment meaning weeks, days, weeks, months, not 10 years ago and stopped. When we see that it is affecting those around us, it is time that we call that pathology. So homeopathy is not vitamins. It's not supplements. I know that I sound like a broken record, but it has to be said time and again. This is not to shore someone up. This is to treat the condition. Big difference. This is medicine. So we use it only when medicine is needed. When is medicine needed? When there's a pathology. That's how I want you to look this up, how to look at this. That's what I want you to do. Because if, as I said, the little hand is in the cookie jar from time to time and then lies about it, that's punishable, not treatable. Big difference. If someone is libertinism is not about someone making an immoral mistake once. Libertinism is actually someone who is promiscuous. If they are promiscuous, then that is a pathology. If someone lies on a regular basis, or they rarely tell the truth, or they tell the truth only when it's convenient, that is a condition. So that's when we use this. And I would not use these medicines again. I'm going to reiterate it again, just because you happen to have learned it. Please don't use homeopathy that way. Use it when it is a problem that needs to be solved. And if the person doesn't have the wherewithal to take care of it themselves, or they proclaim that, then And it is becoming a problem in the family, through the colleagues at school, etc. Now we use homeopathy. And how do we do that? We do that by using it. I would use these medicines in a 200C. Could we use a 30? We could. I see them being used in a 200C and not frequently. I would consider using them, say, once every 3 days for a while and see what comes of it. Need to put Mediterranean in the water at the villages in Florida. I know, I've read those articles about the villages. Water dosing for a whole state. Let's see what everyone else is saying. Yes. People are agreeing with me to the alcohol definition. Don't forget to thank you very much. Yes, please share this with friends. Those of you who are here tonight, please share this. We need to help humanity. We need to work with what we know. Oh, someone's saying it's not like that anymore. And they're probably talking about Florida in in the villages. I think you're right. I actually know someone who lives there, and I think they're upstanding. It's an upstanding family. But there was an article that was put out about them for a while. Hi, Harry. You're so funny. Yeah. The birth control pills. No kidding. The birth control pill was promised to allow women freedom. And what I think it actually did is it got a lot of guys to get a lot of ladies. I think the women didn't benefit. I think the men benefited because until that time, women were very careful. They chose more carefully. They were not as young. Yep. They lied to us all. I agree. It was a big lie. Most things that are put out there in the marketplace, as far as I'm concerned, are lies. So it's up to us to go not one layer deep, because that's where the media lies, right? Not 2 layers deep, not 3 layers deep, 4 layers deep. Keep digging until you find what your gut feeling is about how we should be living our lives, what decisions we should be making, whether or not we should go for that medical test, whether or not we should get that drug, allow that drug into ourselves or our children or our elderly parents or our pets or our livestock or our friends. Birth control pills. Yeah, worst decision I ever made as a teenager. Absolutely. So there can be remedies for certain behaviors when the behaviors are pathological. When the behaviors are pathological. And that's what I really want to emphasize. And that, my friends, is where you have to make that decision. You have to decide, is this a pathological behavior or is this just something that kind of, skirts around the edges? Yeah. Yep. Yeah, the men thought they benefited, but the STDs weren't benefiting. Yep. This is our job. Life is changing fast, very fast. In case you have, I'm sure you've noticed. I'm sure you people are the people who are aware on this earth. You know what's going on. And so I want you to know that you have a whole community around you who thinks the same way. For those of you who are on Facebook Live, you can help each other here. But in Joette's Mighty members, it is, I have to say, it's a pretty tight community. It's really nice. Those who are in the Gateway groups, and for those of you who don't know, we've just put out our new Gateway book. to help people join and study together from all over the world. This is the second edition, much updated from when I originally put it out, and it is to help families, to help women, help men too. More often than not, women are more involved in this, but we have a wonderful group of men who are in Mighty Members and in these study groups. And so I hope that helps you tonight. Next week, we're going to talk about getting pregnant. How can women get pregnant more readily? And so with that, I say God bless you all. Love you. See you next week. Stay curious. Bye now.